Hey everyone, Kenny Chan here, Percenco Group Century 21. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about how interest rates affect your equity. In Canada specifically, amongst personal finance topics, these two are the headlines for this year: interest rates and inflation. And while they are related, I'm really not focusing on inflation today. I really only want to talk about interest rates. So today we're going to be going over a theoretical home that you're buying for $1 million with a down payment of $200,000, which means the amount that you're borrowing from your lender, or aka the mortgage, is $800,000. The year 25 years of amortization is referring to the total amount of time that you're going to be taking to pay off the mortgage of $800,000. The term of 5 years is simply a smaller contract within the total 25 years that you're going to take for a specific interest rate. Okay, what that means is after, let's say, the 5 years are over, you can renegotiate various terms of the mortgage. For example, you could renegotiate the interest rate. Perhaps you get a better interest rate by switching lenders or staying with the same lender and renegotiating. So we're going to be looking at three different interest rates: 2%, 2.75%, 3%, and 4%. We're going to assume that these are all fixed rates for the entire duration of the 5-year term. That makes the calculations a lot easier to understand. I'm also going to be breaking down for each interest rate, what is your approximate amount of money that you're paying towards interest? What's the approximate amount of money you're paying towards your principal or your equity? We're going to add those two up to give you a total monthly mortgage payment. And then one thing I really want to show you is over a 5-year term. So assume the 5 years are now up. How much have you paid towards principal? How much have you paid towards interest? And therefore we can calculate how much equity have you built up for yourself based on every single one of these interest rates, which is the whole purpose of this video, is to show you how interest rates affect how much equity you've built up in your home. So I use approximate numbers because when you make a mortgage payment, you are paying, as you know, you're paying towards a principal and you're paying towards your interest. And while your monthly payments will not change over a 5-year term, the portion that goes towards your principal balance and the portion that goes towards your interest will change over time. Because as you pay off your principal, you're technically borrowing less and less. Therefore, the interest, even though the percentage is the same, the amount of interest that you're paying will decrease over time. And you'll see this later on in the chart. Okay, so the first stop we're going to talk about is a 2% fixed interest rate, which means approximately on your very first payment, you're paying about $1,300 or $1,320 of interest. You're paying about $2,000 into principal for a total mortgage payment of $3,388 per month. So 12 payments in a year. Over a 5-year term, that means you've paid of your total payments that you've paid. So 3,388 times 12 times 5. Out of that entire portion that you've paid, 64% of it went to principal and 36% of it went to interest. So as you can see, for a low interest rate of 2%, you're paying a lot of money towards your principal over a 5-year term. And the amount of principal that you've accumulated, or aka your equity that you've accumulated or paid yourself, is just about $130,000. So you can see that with low interest rates, why people like to borrow more money, because simply put, you put a lot of money into the principal as opposed to the interest over a 5-year term. Now, let's go into an interest rate of 2.75%. Mortgage interest rate payment is approximately $1,800. Principal is approximately $1,800. The total monthly mortgage payment is $3,684. Now, over a 5-year term, you add up all these monthly mortgage payments, and then you figure out how much principal you paid. You've paid about 54% of that in principal and 44% of that in interest, which accumulates you a total of about $120,000 paid towards your principal, aka your equity. So you can see that an interest rate that increases 0.75 does change the balance between principal and interest payments over a 5-year term, or after the 5 years are up. All right. Now let's look at 3%. Interest rate approximately $2,000, principal approximately $1,769, for total monthly mortgage payment of $3,835. And I deliberately picked this number because I really wanted to illustrate that over your 5-year term, after the 5 years are up, considering all your payments, about 50% of your payments went towards your principal, basically yourself, and 50% of the payments went towards interest, the cost of lending. And you've accumulated for yourself approximately $116,000 in equity. Now, let's take a look at the final value of a 4% interest rate. You're paying about $2,600 for the interest monthly payment, $1,500 for principal, $4,200 in your monthly payment. So that's the first two numbers added together. But now you're seeing something totally different, is that after the 5 years are up, you calculate everything, only 40% of all your money that you paid went towards your principal or yourself, and actually 60% of that went towards interest, which is a large number. And you can see the difference in principal. Difference in equity. About $100,000 that you accumulated for yourself over a 5-year period versus $130,000. So this is a difference of about 30% that you've accumulated extra for yourself at a lower interest rate, simply because the cost of borrowing is lower. And as I mentioned earlier, as you have less interest, you're paying more towards the principal, because a greater portion of your monthly mortgage payment is going towards the principal. So how does this look in the long run? If you look at 2% and compare 4%, even though the total monthly payment is in a month less than $1,000 a month. So you might look at yourself and say, hey, between 2% to 4%, I'm only paying an extra $1,000 per month over the course of 1 year. $12,000. Is that a lot? For some people that might not be a lot, especially if you have maybe two people paying, like a couple paying off the mortgage together. However, if you kind of extrapolate and take it to what happens after the 5-year term is up, you've actually accumulated a lot more wealth for yourself at a lower interest rate compared to a higher interest rate. And these are kind of the numbers that a lot of home buyers don't think about, or people that have already owned their home don't really think about how much they're actually contributing towards their own equity, contributing towards their own wealth in the long run. So if you have any questions, that's my email, that's my phone number. I have a lot more videos on my website, kennychan.ca. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.